being followed by a complete stranger is pretty terrifying. I know that many people around the world experience this, all from regular people to celebrities. It can be from a complete stranger or even someone they know. Personally, I hadn't even experienced anything before this, but there's only one time in my life that I was followed around by a complete stranger, and it was the most shocking and, well, the most scariest in my life. Sure, I have experienced some scary moments in my life, but this tops probably among the most terrifying at the moment. My name is Alicia. I'm 27, now married, but this happened about to me about 2 years ago when I was still engaged to my fiance, now husband. Like I said, I haven't experienced any stalking or anything like this before this particular event. I was only had heard stories of people being followed around by complete strangers or someone they know. But personally, I had never even imagined that I would have been end up being one of the people that being followed by a complete stranger. So yeah, I will begin the story how it all happened. It was in the early afternoon. I needed to do some shopping, so I went to the local mall to do some shopping. First on the list, I needed to find a new book since I'm a very much average book reader and I still love reading books. And I don't even have any particular favorite genre. I read any type of books. But this time I was looking for a romance novel. There was one particular book I was looking for, so first stop was the bookstore at the mall. I looked around and I managed to find it. And after that, I went to this clothing store. There were some new clothes that I wanted since I had donated some of my old clothes to charity a couple of weeks earlier. And some of the clothes that I donated, well, I didn't even need them anymore or didn't like them. So just went to the clothing store just to look around just to find some new clothes. Not expensive, not too cheap, just regular ones. And while I was just looking around, an older man approached. I had to say him in his 40s. I can't say precisely if it was early, mid, or late 40s, but at least in his 40s. He asked me if I needed any help, but I said no, I found everything I needed. So he didn't say anything else, so I left. I went to pay for my stuff and I went to another store. But somehow the man followed me, even though I wasn't even aware of that. But when I was in the second store, in this particular store, I did notice him when he walked up to me again. He asked me then something that was completely surprising. He asked me if I want to go out with him. I was really surprised, but I told him that I already had a fiance, which wasn't even a lie. I even showed him my ring. But that didn't somehow bother the man and asked me again. But I said no, and I just walked away. Though the man didn't follow me this time, he just stood there. So I went to a few more stores, just look around, browsing under the shelves and like that. And at first, it seems that the man wasn't even following me, which I was glad for. So in the last store, which were a grocery store, I wanted to buy a cake for me and my fiance, and somehow the man once again appeared behind me, and then he asked me once again, "Hey, I do like you. Do you want to go out with me?" I was start feeling uncomfortable and a bit upset, also annoyed, that this man was so persistent to insisting that I will go out with him. So I said, no, I am already engaged, so can you please leave me alone? I have no interest to go out with you whatsoever. But the man somehow didn't take it kindly. I even told him that I had a fiance, but he said that I lied about my fiance. So, and I should stop flirting with him, which I was taken aback. I wasn't even flirting with him. I was only friendly at first, but since he was so persistent, I was annoyed. So I just told him to leave me alone. But but then, as I did find the cake that I wanted, put it in my cart, and then as I was about to leave, the man grabbed my arm. He told me that I'm going with him, and I can't say no because he said, you don't have any choice in this matter. I got scared. Anyone who was in this position would definitely would even get scared, especially if you're a young woman or even a young man or something like that. No matter what, even though this man was probably like twice my age, but I was scared. There were probably a few things I could get away from him, like struggle, but he had a firm grip on my arm. So, and I didn't have any particular heavy stuff in my cart that I can use as a weapon. And since I was in like the sweet section, there were just only cakes, cupcakes. There was not like anything heavy I could be used as a weapon against him. There was only one thing that came to my mind: the last resort. I start screaming, yelling for help. Since it was a busy store, there were people around, and they started looking, and even a few men walked up to him. The man told them to leave me alone, but the man told them it was between him and his fiancée, and that we only had this argue. But I told them that I didn't even know this man. And then some of the men actually called out for employees, and they somehow grabbed the man by his arms and, well, hold him tight. He tried to struggle and get away from them, but it was useless. They were probably like in my age or something, like in their 20s or something like that. And soon the police arrived, and one of the officers interviewed me, asked me questions if I knew the man, but I said no, I didn't know him, and I informed them that he had been following me at least a few of the stores at the mall. So I even gave them the names of the stores. So one of the officers actually went to those stores and asked for to look at the cameras. And each one of the cameras that they with those stores confirmed that the man was there, and I was in the store at the same time. And the man was taken away. I actually sat outside the store on a bench with an employee to try to calm down. And eventually, I called my fiance, and he arrived to the mall, hurried. He was panicked, but at least I was safe. Afterwards, he took me home since I walked there. So, at home, I'm actually calmed down enough. We did share the cake and we talked about this particular event. And a couple of days later, I actually got a call from the police station to inform me that the man is now behind bars. And it turns out this wasn't even his first time to do this. I was literally shocked that this man apparently had been stalking and harassing women at this mall and other stores in town for a couple of years now. And for the most part, he had ended up behind bars for a couple of months, like 6 months to even a year, just in case, or even had some restraining orders against him. I was so stunned that this man, every time when he let out from jail, even for a short time, if for a couple of months to a year, that he went back to the same routines. I was worried that he will do this again, but this time it wasn't even his first time he was behind bars. I think it was like his I think it was like his fifth or sixth time that he behind bars. So the police told me that the man is gonna be behind bars for much longer this time. And I asked for exactly how many years, and the officer told me at least about 10 to 15 years or something. I mean, it was like 2 years ago, so I don't remember precise years, but it was about 10 years or so. I felt at least lucky that I didn't have to be running into him. I even asked the officer if I need to apply for a restraining order against the man just in case, if when he get out. The officer said it's possible that I probably need it, but since the man isn't going out getting out for at least in a decade or so. But then I asked him, what if he wanted to apply for being released earlier for good behavior? But the officer said it's unlikely that's going to happen because due to his constant behavior of it for the past few years, and that in fact have been in and out and for also several times those past few years, it's very unlikely that he would even could apply for the good behavior. And since he has been doing this, it's a strong case that he more likely would keep doing this even after he gets out. So until for the next 10 years or so, I don't even have to be looking at my behind my shoulder just to be worried that he would be there. But in 10 years, well, who knows? Maybe he might behind bars even longer. Depends if if he end up fighting with someone in jail or something, I don't even know. But also that depends if I even still live in the same town or even the same state. I don't think he would even took enough time to even track me down because of this. I don't think he'd even that desperate. So, yeah. So I then, I told the officer thanks and thanks for informing me about this big update and also telling me about the man's background so that I wouldn't have to be worried. And that he also told me that if this man would somehow reach out to me by letters or something, just telling them and they will have it they can deal with. So, and but yeah, and I don't think he did get my name, but if it did, but so far he hasn't even reached out to me by letters or anything, which I don't think it ever will do. But if it does, I will inform the officers about this case, just precaution. So yeah, and like I said, this was like 2 years ago, and about 6 months after this happened, me and my fiance actually got married. It was a beautiful ceremony, and even though I was scared at the time that this man would somehow escape jail to track me down, but my fiance really told me not to worry. He's a big guy, like he works out and has a license of carrying a weapon. So he even encouraged me to do the same thing, either by taser, pepper spray, or even a handgun. So I might probably do that someday, but for now, I don't know. But to the man behind bars, you probably need to stay there for the rest of your life because people like you stalking other women like that, it's terrifying. You have no idea what you're going through. So yeah, bye.